Hey everybody, this is Jason Hersh with Gainsight, currently responsible for market intelligence, and I'm here to talk to you about a differentiated follow-up. And I think I'm uniquely qualified to do this because prior to running competitive intelligence, I used to run our solutions consulting team for 8.5 years, right? So I've kind of seen this on both sides, meaning, I'd walk in with a rep or do a Zoom with a rep. We think we had a great demo, we leave, we're high-fiving, hey, we nailed it. Guess what? That is the beginning. That is not the end. You need to make sure you walk out of those things, and then you or the rep needs to make sure that you do awesome follow-ups, reinforce what you talked about, reinforce your differentiation. Don't just do the polite follow-up email with, hey, come check out our website. That is not going to work. That is going to cause you to lose. Because the reality is buyers are overwhelmed, right? They see 5 people come in and you kind of all look the same. You all sound the same. And they're just going to go back and run a side by side, right? Build a spreadsheet and say, hey, widget by widget, which one do I like more and which one has the best price, right? So you need to use these follow-ups as a way to reinforce your wedge and the reason that you can solve their problem better than anybody else. So you need to make sure you do that in a differentiated way. And there's so many tools out there to do this. We happen to use Klue or Ask Klue for this, but I'd encourage you to use something because it's going to make your life so much easier. So now let's just jump in and tell you how we can actually solve this for you. So let's start with what bad looks like, right? Bad looks like, here's a list of 10 features. You don't acknowledge the fact that, they may be looking at other competitors. You don't concretely explain to them that you understood what they are trying to accomplish, what their goals are. And you also are not proving to them that you know how to help companies. Here, you're just doing a very generic, not tailored rinse and repeat follow-up, and it's garbage. Throw it in the trash where it belongs. It's not convincing. Let me show you how to do a good job at it. So here's the follow-up I'd recommend. First, you need to say it. You need to restate the specific problems your buyer told you. Like, why are they actually talking to you in the first place? And what are they trying to accomplish? Next, you need to position your differentiation to the problems. Just because you have an awesome feature doesn't mean that they care. You need to make sure you position those only for the things that they're actually caring about. Back it up. Quotes, case studies, analyst reports. Don't bash the competitors. I mean, if there's no competitors, you don't have a market. You need to make sure that you're articulating the reason that you have a superior product and feature, and you can uniquely solve the problem and prove it. And lastly, we've actually had a lot of good luck with the Klue Deal Tips feature recently. It actually pushes out some real life examples of how to differentiate based on the calls. So I definitely recommend trying that out as well. Our CSMs or SCs and AEs have been using that a lot. It kind of reminds me of an example where even though I was using, Ask Klue and some of these other features, in some situations when you do follow-ups, you need to also do custom things. So we had one situation where a prospect had a really unique use case and it wasn't in Klue because it was something we don't typically solve. So I was actually able to work with our account manager. It was actually a renewal situation where there was a competitive threat. So I was actually able to work with her, bring some of the data from Gainsight that I knew what they're trying to accomplish because they were a customer. I worked in Ask Klue. I brought in some call data, some battle card content, and we were able to do some really unique things as well. So it doesn't have to be just out of the box battle cards. Use some of these AI tools like Ask Klue to actually help you do awesome follow-ups. Let's dive into the details. First, you need to make sure that to do a great follow-up, you open up with a summary of their words. What do they tell you? What do they try to accomplish? And get ready to reinforce how your solution uniquely solves that problem and other companies cannot. Next, the next thing you want to think about is weave in your differentiation. Now, call out your differentiators. Make sure you tie them back to the problems that they have. Something that causes your customer or prospect business pain, not nice to haves. Make sure you weave those in 100% of the time. Do not type in the flavor of the week that your execs and marketing is trying to get you to say. Hopefully they're not listening, but make sure you're using the capabilities that uniquely solve the problems for your specific customer. My favorite part is actually proofing it, right? The so what here. Make sure you have access, like your marketing team or your PMM team, your advocacy team has access to timely and actionable quotes and case studies, right? I keep them in the Klue battle cards so they're easy to find, but our advocacy team actually keeps a whole library of a ton of other ones. So make sure that you have a nice library of case studies and quotes that have real metrics and real statistics. If you want some ideas, hit me up, jhersh@gainsight.com. Our team does an awesome job at that. I'd love to share with you what they do to do that. Okay, so now that we're proving it and giving them real proof points from real customers, not just me talking, The last thing I want you to think about is laying traps. And traps is not about, talking poorly about a competitor. I do not want you to disparage them. That's not something I want anybody to do. However, what I want to make sure we do is if we have a unique ability to solve a problem, and I know our competitors do not, I want to make sure I lay that out. And then our prospects are going to know that they cannot solve the problem with the solution. And this doesn't mean they're bad people, right? I was actually at a conference recently. I met a leader of one of our competitors, nice person, genuine. I liked him as a person, but I also know our product is more capable, right? And when you think about these traps, it doesn't always have to be a product or a feature. It can sometimes be access to best practices, a community of like-minded people. So it doesn't only have to be your product. Think about other things that are unique that are going to help your prospect or customer succeed. And again, I can't stress enough, focus on what matters to them. As we wrap up here, whether you're a PMM or a competitive intelligence, RevOps, training, whatever you're doing and you're wanting to learn here, what you need to do is make sure you help your reps with the follow-up. And I'd also make sure that you help create a culture of sharing and a culture of compete. So at Gainsight, we're out there trying to solve customers' business problems, right? We want to make them heroes. The other thing I want to make sure you hear is if you don't win, we all want to win, but if you don't win, you need to make sure you learn from it. And you create a closed loop process of learning from the competitive intelligence you learn when you win and lose. You want to understand the objections that your prospects are bringing up because they could be your competitors' traps, right? You need to make sure that the buyer's language is coming back to the organization. And what you can do with that is basically curate it and make sure you do better the next time. We have a really active competitive Slack channel, and we get a lot of information in there. And thanks to some of the Klue features, I can kind of like click a button and push it back to Klue. So it actually learns from that. So it's a really active place, and our sellers happen to be really comfortable there. So I let them go there, they do their thing, and I'm able to harness all the information. And when you're thinking about harnessing the information, make sure that you're setting up salespeople to do these awesome follow-ups, right? I don't recommend scripts. I recommend like a framework. So think about things like restate the buyer's problem, make sure you get your wedge in there, add the proof points to back it up, and use those traps if you have them. Okay, that's a wrap. That's what I had to share with you today. Please stick around for the Q&A. I'm happy to help. If you have any questions, love to talk. JHERSH@gainsight.com.